Welcome to another new lesson for the day. We are going to discuss all about the short story. We will also be appraising the unity of setting, characterization, and plot in a material viewed or text read. Let's start discussing what is a short story. A short story is a short narrative that is written to entertain and sometimes bring a message or theme to the reader. All stories are based on a struggle, which is also called conflict, that the author tries to resolve. By its nature, short stories are concise and focus on a few elements like character, conflict, description, setting, and plot. Short story has different elements. They are the setting, the plot, the conflict, character, point of view, and the theme. We will be discussing them one at a time as we go along. These are the elements of a short story. Setting is the time and location in which the story takes place. Plot is the sequence of events that happen in the story. Conflict is the opposition of forces which ties one incident to another and makes the plot move. Character is the person and his characteristics in the work of fiction. Point of view is the angle from which the story is told. And theme is the central idea or belief. Let's start discussing the plot. The plot is the structure or organization of events that make up a fictional story. This is an example of a plot diagram. It starts with the exposition, which is the beginning of the story that introduces the conflict, the character, and the setting. And it goes up to the rising action, which are events before the climax. Characters attempt to solve the problem but fails. And then it moves on to the climax, which is the turning point and the point of greatest suspense or action. And then it goes down to the falling action. Action and events that occur after the climax. And then the last one is the resolution. This is where the story ends and where the conflicts or problems are solved. Next is the conflict. The conflict is the primary struggle between the main character or characters and an adverse character, group, or force. There are two kinds of conflicts. The first one is called an internal conflict, which is a struggle between a character and himself or herself. The second type of conflict is the external conflict. It is a struggle between a character and an outside force. It can be man versus man versus nature, man versus supernatural, or man versus society. Next is character. Character is a person in a story, poem, or play. Some characters are people, animals, natural objects, or supernatural objects. There are different types of characters. We have round character, which is fully developed and has many different character traits. The flat character is one-dimensional and only has a few traits. The static character does not change. The dynamic character changes as a result of the story's events. To identify a character in a short story or to characterize it, a reader must watch what is being said or done in the story. Unlike a novel, where a writer has a long time to create a character, a short story is brief or short. You can use these clues to figure out the personality traits of characters in the story. What a character says, what a character does, what others say about the characters, what the narrator says about characters, what a character thinks, nicknames, reactions, attitudes about life. The main character in the story is called the protagonist, often hero or character the audience is supposed to feel most sympathetic to. The antagonist is the primary adversary of the protagonist. Sometimes it is called the villain. Point of view. The point of view is who is telling the story. The first person point of view is that the main character is telling the story. The keywords are I, me, we, my, our, or ours. The second person point of view is that the author or the narrator is telling the story to you, the reader. The keywords are you, your, and yours. The third person point of view is that the author or narrator is telling the story but is not part of it. Can be omniscient or limited view. The keywords are he, she, it, they, and them. To summarize the elements of the story, look at this mind map. At the center is the story, and then we have the characters, we have the protagonist and antagonist. The protagonist is the main character, while the antagonist is the villain in the story. And then the setting talks about the time and place the story happens. And then we have the conflict. We have the internal conflict and the external conflict. The internal conflict is person versus self, while the external conflict is all about person versus nature, person versus person, or person versus society. And then the last element is the theme, which talks about the lesson or moral of the story, or it is the central idea. It's time to watch and listen to a story. The story that you're about to watch is about a woman who got infected by the coronavirus. Watch the story and visualize the characters, setting, and events. Accomplish the activity that follows. The title of the story is I Was Infected with Coronavirus. But before you watch it, there are questions that you need to answer. Now it's time to check your understanding. Answer the following questions based on the story that you have read. Write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. Submit your output in our Google Classroom. These are the questions. Where does the action take place? When was the story created? Does it take place in the present, the past, or the future? What role does setting play in the story? For the characterization, here are the questions. Who is the main character? What do the main character look like? How do he, she, they speak? What do he, she, they say about the virus? How do he, she, they behave during pandemic? Are the characters believable? For the plot, what happens in the beginning, middle, and at the end of the story? What are the most important things, events that happen in the story? How does the conflict arise? How was it solved? Why? How is the plot structured? Is the plot believable? Watch the video version of the story. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Have a good day.